Okay, so I graded all your papers. I don't think I've done one of your discussion posts, maybe two. But I tried to get your papers so that they would help you for next paper. We'll talk about that here at the end. And what we'll do today will hopefully help you as you move forward. And is actually should be actually kind of hilarious and interesting. A little lecture heavy, but you'll see why. So grade your first papers. How many of you, this was me growing up by the way, how many of you have ever, like, the teacher, professors, like, most of you did well, and then you did really shitty? I hate it when they say that, because I always did really shitty, okay? But I'm a doctor, so you'll be fine, okay? Nobody failed, but a lot of C's in there, and I gave you feedback as to why. I think we maybe had one A, so you guys really, and for the most part I'm generalizing, did a pretty good job. Some of you still did a lot of things I specifically said don't do. Somebody cited, like, every citation didn't have an author, like it was all from websites. Some of you guys would just talk about people and not say who they were, all that. But for the most part, you guys gave me effort, so that's why nobody failed. But the paper at the end is worth more, so don't panic, okay? What remind me again? Taylor, that's right. Yes, ma'am, question?
How many sources on our papers would you like this?
Yeah, so some of you would use like 2 or 3. It's just not enough. I said on the next assignment, I used to not put at minimums. I'll probably start because you guys don't use sources.
The resources that we have a crap ton of information.
Yeah, that's a good problem. Okay, so if you Google beef cattle, there's 10 million articles, right? So.
Because I get stuff that has 15 pages worth of information.
Yeah, right.
So I feel like
that's a good thing.
Get enough stuff from there.
Right.
Than having 7 more resources.
So.
That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, you want to have, honestly, a good target is 10, at least for these early papers. And I can't remember what the minimum is on the final paper, but we'll get to it. But the more the better, because it makes your point for you, right? You were talking all about grass-fed or just beef-mastered cattle?
Why you should get beef-mastered.
Okay, somebody also wrote about grass-fed, so they run together. But the lawnmower, hers was hilarious because you were telling us that not everybody should use grass in their yard. Okay, first time a student's ever written this. And then the hilarious point was you should use electric lawnmowers. And me and my buddies totally make fun of each other who have gas and electric. So that one was hilarious to me and informative.
I just read what you said.
Yeah, okay. So, and then what was one of the other ones that stood out? I can't remember. But see the notes, and if you want to talk about it, by all means do. I would much rather sit down and talk about your paper. It's just a matter of time, right? So if you want help or you have specific questions, by all means reach out to me. I'm always here Mondays, so I'm here Monday mornings. This is my first class on Mondays, and then I've got time after this too. But just holler if you want to talk about it, okay? Because I want to make you better. Most of you did okay, but we're still working on it. Are you good? Tired? You okay? Okay, just check. All right. Okay, so we're gonna run through some things today, and here's my challenge to you guys. Okay, I don't give tests, all right, in this class. I'm not gonna test you, but I'm gonna teach you some things today, and if you actually care, you'll learn something. And if you think that we should just memorize things and take tests, which is really boring, then by all means take notes. But I'll give you these slides. Okay. Today, I want you to see which one of these apply to you, because most of you will think of other people. But we all do these things, okay? All of us, and I'll prove it. All right. This is how our brain works, and stick with me, there's a reason we're doing this, okay? When you write papers, or you write anything, and you're in your career field, or you're talking to friends, or you want to debate politics, everybody's favorite thing, okay? This is how your brain works, okay? You know that fire is hot and ice is cold, and if there's a crowd of people and your mother's there, you can pick her face out relatively easily, okay? But what's today's date?
13.
Good, what's 12 times 12?
144.
Good, who's still working on that? 15 times 15? Now we're hurting, right? Like, shit, I'm gonna pull out my phone.
We only go up to 12 in math classes.
Well, you should have gone 15s. Should have, okay? Poor education system, okay? Or should you invest in Bitcoin, right? Or cryptocurrency, all right? Our brains are very lazy, We rely on the instinctive part of our brain to make hard decisions, right? And this is what we do, and this is all of us, and it's not a good thing most of the time, right? If you have hard decisions, okay? Cognitive bias and heuristic. A cognitive bias refers to a systematic error in the thinking process. Such biases are often connected to a heuristic. A heuristic is just a shortcut, all right? Allows one to make inference without extensive deliberation and or reflective judgment, given they're essentially schemas for such solutions, okay? Humans are irrational. If you don't believe me, then date somebody. Male, female, I don't care, okay? We make decisions based on emotions, not objective data. Again, I reference, you ever been arguing with somebody via text and they make a good point? You ever stop and go, wow, that's an excellent point? No, you just get pissed off that they made a really good argument, right? Okay? Or you just get mad, right? Or you say you're stupid and you stop the conversation, okay? We almost never look at objective data, okay? Which we should, and that's what we're trying to work on, okay, in this class with writing. We're gonna cover a whole bunch of biases, all right, relatively quickly. You're gonna hopefully see yourself in some of these, and you're definitely gonna see friends and family in these, which is much easier because we don't like to look at ourselves, okay? Anchoring bias. The first piece of data we're given sometimes set the baseline for an entire discussion. Negotiations involving money. The first offer tends to establish a range of expectations. You guys are gonna go get a job soon, okay? Some of you are gonna go to grad school, you're gonna be vets and all that good stuff, but you're gonna go get jobs. And who wants to make $100,000 a year? Okay, but you sit down and negotiate, and there's a job offer on the table, and they offer you $50,000. Are you gonna negotiate up to $100,000? No, you're not. You can try, okay? But 50 sounds pretty good to you right now, right? Okay? You might get it up to 55. You might even get it up to 60. You're not gonna get it up to 100. Okay, not there. So the first piece of data sets it. Who's ever bought a car on their own? Did you have a trade-in? What did they offer? Did you get what you wanted for your trade-in?
Yeah, about that.
Okay, good. Usually wherever that number starts at, you're not gonna move it a lot. So wherever you start the negotiation is usually where it is. Okay, so just, again, these are helpful things in life. All right? Believe it or not, juries are harder. Judges in this country do a pretty good job of being fair and impartial. Really, they're pretty good at it, okay? But they didn't experiment with some judges, and they gave them a 12-sided dice, so 1 through 12 on the dice, and it was loaded. And so when they rolled the dice, it was usually a higher number, like 10, 11, 12, okay? So they showed the file of a criminal, and they said, here's the crime, here's what they did. We want you to assign the sentence. What will the punishment be? But they had to roll the dice first, and it usually came up that higher number. What happened with the sentences?
Higher numbers.
They were higher. Why?
Because that number was still in my head.
Just because they saw a higher number on the dice. That's how easily we are influenced. Shit doesn't even matter.
Could you imagine being a
Huh?
criminal? I said, could you imagine being a criminal?
Well, yeah, don't give them loaded dice, right? But that was the experiment to say judges are pretty good, but if we give one piece of information, right, it'll influence it. Okay? Automation bias. Using systems to eliminate human error. A couple years ago, there was a flight, I think it was headed to Minneapolis, and they flew past the airport by like 2 hours. You're talking connecting flights, you're talking fuel, you're talking safety. The pilot and co-pilot had it on autopilot, and we're just sitting up there bullshitting.
For 2 extra hours?
2 extra hours, right? They got fired. 100% fired, okay? And pilots are in demand right now. There was a company that set up a software system to help them with their investing, okay? So they got money, we want to invest in the market, and we're going to set up a software system that can do it better than people because they will watch it 24/7. We'll set the parameters of what it buys and sells. It was less than a day, I think it was half a day. It's traded away $500 million and almost bankrupt the company. It didn't work. It didn't work well. Same thing if, who likes baseball? You like baseball? Okay. If you've ever seen Moneyball, the movie, we tend to rely on just the numbers and we don't always get it right. Okay, so if we only look at the numbers, we might not see that a baseball player, maybe they were injured or maybe they're still young or whatever. That if we just rely on the numbers, we don't always get it right. And, so they use automation for that, and it's not always a good thing. Here's what I'll tell you though. We need cars that drive for us soon because everybody is texting while they're driving. This is literally why self-driving cars are happening, right? Because it's not safe and it's terrifying. Okay. Availability heuristic. This is super fun. We give more credence to information we're already aware of, even if it's subconscious. Okay. This is particularly true if the information is dramatic or emotionally charged. This is what the 24-hour news cycle plays on. If you're aware that a shark attack is going to happen when you go to the beach, all right, the media loves to play on that. They're going to tell you that shark attack, you're going to die of a shark bite, right? You're going to get attacked by a shark. How many people get bit by a shark every year? Like 1 or 2.
Hurt by cows.
Exactly, okay? But whatever information we've heard, we tend to believe more, even if we're not even aware of it, okay? Whatever the information is that we're already aware of, we will believe it more likely if it's emotional or dramatic. Okay? Bandwagon effect. We're more likely to believe something true if others around us believe it to be true. Conversely, if you're with a group of friends who don't think it's true, you'll think it's not true, okay? Whether it is or not, right? Has anybody heard get on the bandwagon? We're on the bandwagon, okay? Alabama fans. Everybody likes Alabama. All right, has anybody heard the term groupthink? Jaren? Hopefully, just review it for Jaren, sorry. See how much you remember. Who, yes? Besides, who said yes? Anybody?
Briefly,
Okay, do you know what it is?
pretty sure it's just when the whole group thinks the same thing.
Yeah, you guys are about to be the new people at your jobs, okay? You're gonna be the new person at work, and you're gonna be sitting there all quiet and shy because you're new and you're happy that you're making money and you're out of school, right? And everybody's gonna go along with this idea, and you're gonna be sitting there and be like, I don't think this is a good idea. And you will be the only one that's right. This is a problem. This happens in the workforce all the time, okay? Who's been on a group project, and you start on the group project, and halfway into it, you're like, this isn't good. Do you say anything? Why not?
Because you would be the outlier.
Yeah, okay. You're just gonna take the bad grade, call it good, move on, okay? If you guys do say something, that's a good thing, all right? It makes it hard for organizations to question their own assumptions. It absolutely leads to irrational decisions. Everybody's like, yep, great idea, let's go with it. And you're moving along, and you're like, oh, this is not a good idea. Okay? Happens all the time. Base rate fallacy. We haven't this. All right, best way to explain this. How many of you have been on Amazon to buy something, right? Okay, and are you good? Okay. If it's got 3,000 reviews and it's got 4.5 stars, okay, pretty good shape, right? You're going through the reviews and you see the one negative review and you don't buy it, right? That's all you did was ignore all the information that was actually helpful, and you took the piece of information you wanted to see. You needed one excuse not to buy it, okay? Because you were broke or whatever the reason was, okay? So we use with the data. So Chrysler used to make this car, and they had a metric. My Amazon reviews explanation tends to work better. But Chrysler made this car, and they had this metric of how often it had to be repaired. And then they tracked that they were reducing the number of times it had to be repaired to make a better car. However, they were still making a piece of shit car. They didn't fix the car, they just made it so you had to fix it less. Okay, so this happens in the workforce too. This is not just you guys. Right. We seen any of our own biases yet? Have you guys seen any of them? Okay, good. I like it because you will hang with me. I have a lot of them. Okay. We're hardwired to look for patterns. Okay, you ever been looking at clouds and be like, "Oh, that's an alligator." No, it isn't. Okay, it just kind of looks like one, and your brain says it is. Has anybody ever been to like a what do they call them, where they show you the stars, okay, and they show you what the constellations are? It doesn't ever look like that thing, right? So that's what we look for. Okay, we look for patterns even when they're not there. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, this is a particular threat to you. If you want to start and own and run your own business, okay, you think you will find the patterns to success, but you don't always get it right, okay? You think you will have discovered it, but this can be a threat to entrepreneurs, okay? Another favorite one, let's talk politics. The unconscious act of referencing only those perspectives that fuel our pre-existing views, while ignoring or dismissing others, no matter how valid. This is the argument on text. When you watch a debate, who wins? Your guy or the other guy? Your guy or gal. Did they win? No idea. They just said what we want to hear, and we completely dismissed what the other side said. Okay? So if there's a political debate and you go on Fox News, it'll say this guy won. If you go on CNN, it'll say this guy won. Right? It's not good. This is why new companies, however, again, for the workforce, succeed at beating well-established older companies. Fortune 100 means like the top 100 companies in this country, right? Do you know how long they stay there? Do you know how long they remain a Fortune 100 company? Any guesses?
Couple weeks.
About 30 years. But that's it. I mean, that sounds, but these are the top 100 companies in our country. They only even stay there about 30 years because something new will come along. Okay? We'll get into a couple of them later. All right? Curse of knowledge, another one of my favorites. You ever been studying with somebody and you're trying to explain it and they don't get it? Or you're the person who doesn't get it? Okay, all right, I empathize. Okay. Once you truly know something or learn something, it's almost impossible to recognize that you didn't know that at some point. Who knows how to tie their shoes? Guess what? You didn't used to. You used to be terrible at it. Okay, you couldn't teach. It's embarrassing watching you try to tie shoes. Okay, but you figured it out now. You don't even think about it. Okay. So it's hard when you're studying or learning something. Okay. Once you truly know it, you can't believe that people don't know it. All right. Again, in the workforce. Okay. Plasma TVs and LCD TVs came out about the same time. Who knows which ones are better? Take a guess.
Isn't plasma heavier?
Maybe. But which one's a better TV? Which one looks better?
Well, depends on, do you want me to, I remember from last year's.
Yes. I'm always amazed that people actually remember things I taught them. Okay. Hold off then.
Okay, I was like.
Anyway, guess. Who's got a guess? Which one's better? It's 50-50, guys. I don't care. Plasma? Okay, plasma is a better TV. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Who sold more?
LCDs.
Yes, why?
Because the lighting.
The lighting. When you watch a movie or a TV show, do you have bright lights on? When you go into Walmart to buy a TV, do they have bright lights on? Yes. Okay? So the engineers with plasma made a better TV. The marketers with LCDs capitalized on the fact that their TV looked better under bright lights, and they sold more TVs. Hindsight bias is similar to the curse of knowledge. It seems obvious it was going to happen. Ever had something happen and you're like, oh, I totally should have seen it coming. No. You had no idea that was going to happen. You just think you should have known it. Okay? Yeah, there's more to get to that. Who played softball, right? What position? Okay. So, bear with me then. Baseball? Did you play baseball? Catcher? Nice. Okay. When your pitcher throws a ball, what are you trying to do with it?
Put it back in the strike.
You're trying to make it look like a strike, right? That's what the framing effect is. We draw different conclusions from the same information based on how it was presented. Taylor's just trying to make it look like a strike so that the umpire will call it a strike, all right? And the fans will freak out because they think it's a strike, right? And the umpire calls a ball or whatever. This is the framing effect, right? Advertisers and political spin doctors use this to their advantage. We'll take the same information and tell it a different way. Again, when you're working, okay, you're going to go to the workforce. And we're going to tell Ariel, go look at this business and then present it to us because we're thinking about buying it. If Ariel comes back and says, man, here's all the great things about this business, think it's pretty good. There's a few things I'm worried about. They are more likely to buy it. If Ariel comes back and says, I have a whole, bless you, I have a COVID. I have a whole bunch of concerns. And here's a few positives. They won't buy it. It's the same information, it's how it's presented. Okay? Who knows what Xerox is? Company. What do they make?
Copy paper.
Copiers, yeah, copier paper, they make copiers and printers. They made just about everything that is in the modern computer today. They could have been Apple, okay? They didn't see themselves that way. They saw themselves as making printers and copiers, right? That was their own stupid fault. Yeah.
Is that also called cherry picking?
Yeah, wouldn't you take any information that you want? Sure. Okay, which again is similar to statistics. Okay, has anybody had a stats class? Okay, stats is a way to tell a partial truth imperfectly with half data, more or less. Okay, because we can pull out things that we don't want to use. All right. Okay, cool. Any degenerative gamblers in here, like myself? Liars. That's fine. All right. Future probabilities are altered by past events. Okay, if the Bearcats are playing SFA and they've won the last 5 times in a row, are they going to win this year? How do you know? You shaking your head? Huh? Because why? Right? Does the previous 5 years have anything to do with this year's game? Absolutely not. A few players might be the same, right? But not from 5 years ago. You're not going to have all of them. We might not even have the same coaching staff. Okay? It has nothing to do with past events. And every time you watch College Game Day, they'll say, well, they won 10 out of the last 12. So what? Doesn't matter. Okay? If you flip a coin, is it 50-50? Heads or tails?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if it's a person, you'll actually influence it 51% to 49. Because say, remember your name? Shelby. Okay, let's say I don't like Shelby. She calls heads, and I see it, and I catch it, and I catch a glimpse of it, but I know if I turn it over, she won't get it right. Okay, people will influence it. If a machine does it, it's 50-50. Yeah. You know what gender reveal parties are? People are like, oh, I'm having a boy or a girl. It's 50-50, bro. Like, if you have a lizard, I'll be shocked. But you're going to have a boy or a girl, okay? It's one or the other, all right? So these financial investors, people who covered financial investing, right? They said blindfolded monkeys could do just as good a job as people who invest in the stock market, all right? And so they wanted to test this. You'll learn, and my other pre-vet guys, it's really hard to actually blindfold monkeys and get approval for testing, so they kind of frown on that. So they use themselves. So they set up stocks on a dartboard with the newspaper. They used to come out in the newspaper all the time. And they threw darts at stocks and picked those stocks to invest in the market, and they compared themselves to professional financial investors. How do you think they did compared to the professionals? Almost as well. Literally just about as well, because it's a crapshoot. Okay? Stocks don't always go up, which is what a lot of people believe. Yeah. All right, loss aversion. This is another one that's really common for you guys. We'll see if you believe me. Okay. We would rather avoid a loss than reap a reward. Okay. Anna? Oh, okay. I'm working on it. Sorry. Okay. Anna, if I offer you $200 today or $1,000 in April, which one are you taking?
So just 2 others.
I'll give you $200 today, or you have to wait till April and I'll give you $1,000.
Wait till April.
Okay, good. Who's not waiting till April? Why not?
Rent money?
I need this today. Right? I don't have time. And then other students say, well, I'll just invest it. Okay, yeah, go take your $200 and make $1,000 in 6 months. No, you're going to go buy a case of Keystone Light. Okay? Or pay rent, or whatever, okay? Who has been in a Blockbuster store? Are you kids? Yes. Okay, because in a few years, if I'm still teaching, there's one left. And now there's a documentary on Netflix about the one left. Okay? Netflix went to Blockbuster early on and said, will you buy us? When Netflix started, and tell me if you believe me or not, this is true, it wasn't digital. They mailed you your DVDs. I've had students like, no, they didn't. Yeah, ancient history. Okay. Netflix says, look, we're going to get to digital, but we're not there yet. Nobody has the bandwidth. TVs don't have apps. We're going to go there because we can see the technology is coming really soon. But we're going to partner with Blockbuster because you have the stores. And then when we go digital, we'll bring you with us. So they go and they tell Blockbuster, hey, you can buy us. The first time it was like 10 or 20 million. Okay, it was nothing to Blockbuster. Then they keep going, and they're starting to cut into Blockbuster's business a little bit, right? And it's getting serious, and they're starting to invest, and things are starting to go digital a little better on computers, stuff like that. And they come back, and they say they could buy them for like $50 million, okay? Today, Netflix is worth $244 billion. What's Blockbuster worth?
That one store.
They gone. All right? Do you know why? Why did Blockbuster not do it? Why did Blockbuster fail?
They didn't really reach out like Netflix did. They kind of just.
They tried to late in the game. They tried to go digital late in the game. Okay, you're on track. But why did they fail? What did they not get anymore?
Feared the loss.
Yeah, of what? The loss of what? You're right. What was the problem with Blockbuster? Huh? Yeah, but what happened if you didn't take the movie back? You got late fees. Most of Blockbuster's revenue was like something like 60% came from late fees. Right? If you forgot. And they even did the 7 or 10 days. Well, why'd they do that? Because you forget. Okay? They didn't want to miss out on the late fees anymore. They were afraid of, they didn't want to lose that income. They were afraid of losing the late fee income. Good decision? They're gone. Polaroid made film. Has anybody actually taken a picture with film? Really? Developed it? Liars. Okay. What, are you going to tell me you use payphones too? Polaroid, when they started coming out with digital cameras, Polaroid made them. They were in the game, okay? Everyone started making digital cameras, but they didn't want to make very many because they didn't want to lose the revenue from film. Who uses film anymore? Who even uses a camera? Right? It's just on your phone. Right? They didn't want to lose the loss of film, the money they made. Oh, another favorite. How many of you can think of a time you did something stupid? You wake up 3 in the morning. God, what? I should have said this in 8th grade. Doesn't matter, bro. He or her, she left. She doesn't care about you. She doesn't think about you anymore. Okay? We recall unpleasant memories more vivid than positive ones. Okay? Now, this is not always a bad thing. This can help you from repeating mistakes. But how many of you can think of a time you did something awesome? Yeah. This is how simple guys are. We're pretty good. Okay? Again, women, you have like 25 web browsers open at all times, right? Guys, nothing. We're great. No, we're idiots, okay? Again, can protect you from making a mistake, but here's the problem. This leads to you undervaluing a good experience. Say you do an internship or something like that, and it kind of sucks, or maybe they're only asking you to make coffee and not really getting into it, all right? But one day was pretty awesome. What you're not realizing is that if you actually had that job, it might be pretty awesome, but you might look at the negative experiences, okay? We tend to take the unpleasant things and put way more weight on them, okay? Normalcy, okay? We have a hard time planning for and reacting to disasters that have yet to occur. Where's the Titanic right now? Bottom of the ocean. Was that thing unsinkable?
Allegedly.
Allegedly, right? This is COVID, okay? This is the 9/11 attacks. All right, we have a hard time with something that hasn't happened yet, and we won't plan for it. I can't remember if I mentioned it in this class or not, but there's a TED Talk from Bill Gates from like 2016. He predicts COVID. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, the next thing that's really going to hurt us is some disease we're not ready for.
Probably because from SARS.
You know, it's happened multiple times. Ebola virus, which was way more deadly in terms of getting it, and it was going to go everywhere. SARS, yeah. Huh? Yeah?
It's not all
Yeah.
in like a timeline.
Correct. Yeah, he was looking at the data, and he was predicting what was going to happen, and he was right, okay? That's why there's not enough lifeboats on the Titanic. It leads to underestimating the odds of a worst-case scenario, and we minimize the potential impact, right? We're looking at it, and we're like, oh, it's another disease we'll handle, it will be fine. Well, they're all different, okay? Okay, read that stop, that first stat. Who thinks they're a good driver? How many of you in your car say horrible things to other cars you would never say to a person?
It's bad. I usually just scream terrible. Like I don't say words that just.
Yeah, because you all think you're good drivers, and that's statistically.
Jesus to forgive me because
Yeah.
I really just be ripping it up.
Yeah, you should. Statistically, that's impossible. Okay, we can't all be good drivers. We're not all good drivers. Okay. Same thing. Entrepreneurs, they all think they're going to make it. You know how the average life of a new business? There you go, 5 years. Yeah, you're not. It's going to drop every year. That's 50%. Year 2 is like 80, 70, and it goes down every year.
If you go into something expecting it to fail, it's going to fail.
Probably, yeah. I'm like optimist. happy guy, everything's gonna work out. My wife, total opposite. She's like, I knew COVID was gonna happen. I'm like, no, you didn't. She's like, well, I knew something bad would happen. Okay, that's helpful. Thanks. Okay. That'll happen. You just watch. If you're not in a relationship yet, it's really weird how you end up with someone who's very different from you. Okay? Not a bad thing. It's just very strange. If you're in a good mood, you think good things will happen. If you're in a bad mood, you think bad things will happen. All right? In either case, your emotions are making you irrational. Again, date somebody. You see them, right? What's wrong with you? Hungry. Okay. This is you. Also, I hate to tell you, you're not perfect. I like you guys. Ostrich effect. We don't like bad news. In fact, we will go to great lengths to avoid bad news. Nodding? Okay. Again, especially if the data challenges our assumptions. Here's where you can win, guys. With your papers, what I'm trying to get you to do is be knowledgeable on the subject. Okay? If you learn the data that says so, it's true. Now, for every study, there's a study that shows the opposite. Okay? And whether it's valid or not, we have to figure out. Okay? But for every bit of data that you actually understand and know, that makes you more knowledgeable. Okay? Our brains are software. People say they're like a muscle. Not really. They're more like software. I don't care what your IQ is. You can absolutely improve your knowledge. You can always become more knowledgeable on a subject. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Everybody loves a winner. What if they just got lucky? We rarely question the person who's been successful. But sometimes they just got lucky, and sometimes you should question them. Okay? But we don't often do that. This is my guys again, right, for the most part. Success leads us to place too much faith in our own expertise. Okay. Experiment they did. Take a bunch of amateurs. Take you guys, right, and we're going to pick subjects. We're going to look at it, whether we should invest in gold. Okay, should we buy real estate? We're going to predict hurricanes. Okay, we're going to take all these topics and we're going to pitch you against an expert. All right, and then we'll see how you do in forecasting what's going to happen against the expert. As you guys as amateurs, how'd you do against the experts? Huh? Better.
Because we'd actually
Why?
learn more about it.
Because if you don't know anything about whether you should invest in gold, what are you going to do?
Research.
Go find out if you should or not. What's the expert going to do?
Use his own knowledge.
I've got it figured out. It will be 7 hurricanes. You don't know, bro. Okay? So you got to figure it out. You can actually do better than the expert, but you got to put in a little work. Okay? This is, again, if we think we're great at something, we tend to overestimate. You'll see this in the workforce all the time. Okay, this might be the only one you remember the name to, without prompting. Anybody from Abilene or around there? Okay, who wants to go to Abilene in the summer for vacation? None of you. Good. Everyone gets an A for today. You should never want to go to Abilene in the summer for vacation. Okay? I've been there. I have friends there. Nice people. A family took a summer vacation in Texas to Abilene. Why? No one said they didn't want to go. No one wanted to disrupt the group. So after they got back, they were like, God, that was kind of a shitty vacation. Yeah, I thought so too. What? Why didn't you say anything? Nobody, we put grandma in the car, it's 120 degrees, and we drove to Abilene. That's a terrible idea. We'll say yes when we mean no. The group project, you do the same shit, right? Me and group project, oh yeah, good idea. No, it's not. Speak up, okay? We often know, oh, another favorite, okay? This has helped with mask a little bit. Guys, you seen women with lipstick on their teeth? You say anything? Why not? Why not?
Because they'll usually go, oh no, and they start freaking out.
Would you rather know if you had lipstick on your teeth?
Heck
Yeah, all you gotta do. You ever seen somebody with a booger hanging, you don't say anything? And then you look in the mirror, you're like, son of a bitch, I had a booger hanging the whole time. Okay? Just tell somebody, all right? We won't address it. We're afraid to say things, okay? If my fly's ever down, you all better tell me or I'm gonna be real mad, okay? Just recognize a once promising plan. We wanted to go on vacation. We wanted to take a family vacation. For the love of God, why did we go to Abilene? Okay, so just speak up. Oh, I like this meme. It's a little dated now. Yeah. Okay. Dunning-Kruger effect. This is 100% true in the workforce. You've probably seen it while you're in school. Okay. Individuals with a low level of knowledge in a subject matter mistakenly assess their knowledge as greater than it is. You've been in a group project with somebody, maybe at work, and somebody thinks they've got it all figured out, and you're like, this clown does not know what they're talking about. Okay. We will overestimate what we think we know. All right. What's crazy is if you're actually pretty knowledgeable, you will underestimate your value. You think you don't know it all. Okay? You want to be on this end. Okay? Be knowledgeable and then maybe not like an overconfident asshole. Okay? Versus not knowing very much. It's okay to say that, right? Especially when you're new and young in the workforce. Okay. My other favorite example. If you guys take a test and you fail it, whose fault is it? Huh? Your own fault. No, professor, it's always the professor's fault. Yeah, it's your fault. You blame us, right? But whose fault is it really? It's your own. Why?
Because you probably didn't, study or
Yeah, you went to Humps and got wasted the night before, right? Okay? Or it's like, oh, I gotta work, I'll study it later, okay? But if you do well on the test, who's responsible for that?
Me?
Yeah. No, I made you, okay? I can break you, okay? Yes, it's you, but you'll never give the professor credit, will you?
Yeah.
Probably not, okay? When we face failure and negative outcomes, we tend to attribute these events to other people and other factors. Here's where this matters in the workforce, okay? And you'll see it. I like sports, so I go back to sports a lot. If I ever lose you on that, by all means, just holler. Does anybody really not like football? Totally fine if you don't, okay? But I use that a lot. If you listen to a coach after a win, and they're a good coach, what do they say? Who do they give the credit to? Huh? The players, right? If they lose, whose fault is it? If they're a good coach, they will say themselves, I didn't set them up for success. If they're not a good coach, they will blame the players. Welcome to your manager or president or CEO or boss. Okay? If something doesn't go well at work and the boss set you up for failure, they should recognize that. Okay? They should not throw you under the bus. Most people will. I teach classes in ethics and stuff. People suck. Okay? I love people. They're awesome. But people suck. Right? They will absolutely let you down and throw you under the bus at every turn. Okay? So just be aware of that. Okay? If your boss constantly bashes other people, and maybe they don't do it to you, but they talk about everybody else, you think when they're talking to somebody else, they talk about you? Yeah. Okay? This happens in the workforce all the time. Something to be aware of. Okay? We tend to prefer things as they already are. This has a big impact on our own choices. Okay? If there's too many choices to make, we won't make them at all. You ever been overwhelmed? You're like, I'm just gonna go take a nap. Okay, if there's too much to do, you're like, I'm out, bro. It's too much work. Okay, please don't do that. Okay, this leads to repeating mistakes. Right? This comes into medicine a lot. You got a lot of patients, you got sick patients or whatever. If there's too many choices, people will freeze up. This gets hard. Okay? So just remember the doctors make mistakes. No pressure. Still practicing medicine. Oh, another good one. Okay, we have a hard time cutting our losses, despite evidence that continuing on the same path will result in even greater losses. I'll give you an example with money, but it's not just money. Okay. Who else has bought? Anybody else bought a car on their own, or with your family or whatever? Okay. Did you want that car?
Not really.
Okay, good. That's helpful. When you go buy a car, say, okay, you get your first job, you're making money, you're going to go buy your dream car, dream truck, or at least your first one, right? Or you're going to buy a house or a condo or whatever, okay? You're going to want that thing if you really fall in love with it. You're going to want it more than anything, and the salespeople know it, okay? I was buying a truck, I think it was 2 years ago, and negotiated all online, got what I wanted for my trade-in. Yep, I said we're good to go, send me the deal, and there's a $1,000 fee on there. And I'm like, what's that for? And he goes, oh, well, it's got new tires and there's a diesel fee. I think the tires come with the truck, bro. Okay?
I don't think diesel is that expensive?
There's no such thing as a diesel fee unless you get to a commercial grade vehicle. So I'm like, and I don't ever do this, but it pissed me off and I walked away and I was like, way to treat a veteran, you know, like, trying to get my shot in. Okay. And he's all apologetic, whatever. And I was like, and my wife is like, it's the truck you want, just pay the $1,000. You know, he's been looking for a long time, it was an expensive truck. And I was like, no, 25-year-old me, maybe, probably would have. I was like, no, screw that guy, I'm out. Okay, there's a million other trucks. This is early in COVID, now I'm screwed because my truck got totaled. Okay. So I found a better truck. Right? I got a better deal and I found a truck and I walked away and it all worked out. Be willing to walk away. Again, you're gonna find that first house or condo or whatever and you're gonna love it. Right? And be like, oh, there's another buyer, you need 20 more grand. You're screwed, right? Because you'll try to do it. Don't let that stuff happen, right? You will invest and invest and invest. This happens with political capital, right? This happens with investing with friends, okay? Maybe you got someone who is like a real alcoholic. You're like, okay, I gotta cut ties, right? This isn't working out, right? It leads to irrational escalation. Right? Sometimes we'll just keep going. Temporal discounting. A group of biases connected to our desire for instant gratification. Okay, this is kind of what we're going back to with money. A small reward today is better than a bigger reward tomorrow. We'll look at that $200 as being far better than that $1,000. Which one's better? The 1,000, but I'm not going to wait. You guys know Kevin Hart? Okay, like funny dude, right? Good movies sometimes. He was working as a shoe salesman, not making any money. His mom was helping him pay rent. And he got his first, he was doing stand-up, and he finally got someone that said, hey, we're gonna do your first special, we're gonna pay you 150 grand. He was like, yes, I need this money now, okay? And his manager was like, no, we're not gonna take this deal. He's like, what the hell are you talking about, okay? I'm broke, I'm a shoe salesman, I need this, okay? He says, you're worth a lot more than that. And so they negotiated and took a little longer, and he got like 250 grand, okay? And he told that story. I've heard it on some podcasts, and I thought it was great. But his manager was looking at the long term. He knew what he was worth, but the company offering knew that he needed money. Okay? So sometimes we don't consider the long-term effects. The $1,000 is always going to be better, but it's really hard for us to wait for it, and you will totally justify it. You're like, well, I just would have spent it anyway. Oh, another great one with study, and I think we're almost done. Our desire for conformity, to be part of the group, is so strong, all right, it'll distort our view of reality at the most basic level. So take a group of people like y'all, and we're going to show you a card, and it's going to have 3 lines on it. And one of the lines is clearly A, B, and C. Line B is clearly longer than the others, okay? And then we're going to ask you which line is longer. You know, in your eyes and your brain saw that line B is longer. And you're about to say line B. But they put actors in the group. And they're like, oh, it's line A. The other one's like, yeah, it's line A. And you will go along with it. Because you don't want to disrupt the group and you won't speak up. You'll be like, oh, I guess I was wrong. Guess it's line A. Don't do that. You know you're right, right? But that is exactly what happened in the study. Who's 21? You're done. I would challenge you to do this if you want. You can do it with soda or whatever too. People think they can tell the difference in beer. No, you can't. Blind taste test. If you truly set up a blind taste test, you won't get it right. Like, I know Bud Light. I only drink Bud Light. No, you'll get it wrong. The one outlier is usually Guinness. That throws people off because it's not carbonated. It's dark beer. Cool. Questions on that? Where did you see yourselves? Which ones? A lot of them? We all do it. Everybody is guilty of most of those, okay, whether we know it or not. Now you can mess with your friends and family. You're like, oh, you're just being biased. Where'd you learn that? Oh, some guy. Okay, this is what we have this week, okay? Due Friday, 2 to 4 pages. This, and I think there is, okay. What I want you guys to do, and this is why this is why we cover biases today. I want you to go find an article that you disagree with or think has wrong information related to ag. Like, yes, COVID, politics, can't wait. Okay. As much as I would love to do that. All right. Actually, which I probably would. Related ag. Now, here's the issue. Okay, who does not like PETA? I mean, you will get so charged up that you will write a terrible paper because you get mad. Okay, which means PETA won. Okay, I picked a topic: organic, non-organic. What type of cattle to use? I'm a gas mower guy. I'm sorry, I'm not giving up my gas mower. Okay? But I understand why. I understand why you would want to promote an electric mower. Okay, I want you to find something that you think has misinformation. All right, an article. This is pretty easy. And then I want you to explain why it's wrong. Okay, and you're advocating for the correction. Okay, this is not necessarily persuasive. It's informative. But if you present the right information, it should be very obvious to me why PETA is a terrible organization, or why I should only eat organic food, or why I should have an electric mower. Your job is to present data and prove it. Okay, you have to disprove the article that you find. Okay, make sure you include the link to the article, give a brief description, and again, you can even acknowledge some of the points. All right, but you want to make sure you want to illustrate why they're wrong. Okay. What else? Form. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Review the things that we've talked about so far and how to write your paper. Please review the notes I made on your first paper. Okay, and that'll help you guys. Yeah, facts and research. So at least 8 sources. By God, do more. I only put numbers in there because you guys will do the bare minimum, unless I tell you otherwise. Right? The more sources you find that disprove that argument, the better your paper will be. Okay? If PETA tells us that we should abolish agriculture, which is their mission, okay, then counterprove it. Okay? Now, if you agree with only one article that you find, okay, and then you're going to disprove it, but you need at least 8 sources total. So I would find at least 7 that go against it, okay, that prove what you're trying to say. Okay? Questions? Good? Sure? Okay. We learn anything today? What? What'd you learn, Taylor? You just nodded. Perfect. Okay. Again, if you want to discuss your paper or anything, just holler. Let me know. But again, the grades are more weighted on your final paper. So if you didn't get a great grade, don't panic. Just keep improving, and we'll do better. Sound good? Cool. Have an awesome week.